Declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome to another episode of my Independence Report. And today is Thursday, and so we get the opportunity to talk to musicians. I just love this segment because musicians are something that I've always wanted to be, but I can't sing, nor can I play. But that's okay. And I can't write either, but I can listen, and I love folks that are just terrific musicians. First of all, Kayla May is with me. She's acting as my co-host today. Kayla, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm just dandy, thank you. I'm in my element because I get to talk to some really cool people. And the gentleman that we're going to talk to this hour, his name is, and I'm going to massacre your last name more than likely, even though it's an Irish last name, and I shouldn't mess with it. But John McDonough, is that close?
Hey, that was really close. Yeah, McDonough. I mean, I think you got it, actually. Yeah.
Hey, what do you know? It's one of the few. I interviewed somebody from Sweden or from Finland last hour, and I had no shot.
No, neither would I.
So John is with us, and he is a musician, singer, songwriter. But before we go there, you're also a psychotherapist of note and have retired from that because you wanted to focus on music, right?
That's right. Well, and it was, so I was a psychotherapist for many years in Austin, Texas. And I hit a point where I just got sort of burned out with it. And I decided to take 6 months off. And here we are about 10 years later. And so I don't think I'm going back to it at this point, but it was great. I loved it. I'm glad I did it. I just hit a point where I just didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah.
Well, and I was looking at your bio, and it's like you're a novice. You've only been playing for 25 years. You've had like 500 gigs. You've played anywhere from the rowdy bars of Austin, Texas, to the fine dining restaurants. You've done it all. You've got 5 CDs out of your own music and stuff. So it's you must be a prolific writer. Are you a prolific writer?
Well, I am, and I'll tell you why. Because I love to read. I'm always reading, and usually fiction. And I love to watch documentary films. And I find so much inspiration in those things that I want to then write a song about. And if I just was drawing from my own life, I mean, I would have run out of material a long time ago. I always say, I can only write so many love songs or so many lack of love songs before I get bored with it. And then, but I see these other things or other people and their lives and their experiences and things they've been through, and it just moves me so much, and I find so much inspiration in that, and then I write songs about that. And so that's why I think I'm a proficient writer, because there's just so much out there.
Where do the songs come from?
I mean, they can come from anywhere. And for example, okay, I'm a big space person. I'm into space, right? And a book came out about Jim Lovell a few years ago about the first time they actually went to the moon and revolved around the moon. They didn't land on the moon, but they actually went to the moon. And first time they saw the dark side of the moon. It was Apollo 8. Unbelievable story, unbelievable risk, unbelievable that these people, those rockets were blowing up left and right, and they never had a successful launch. Then they put those astronauts in there and said, "We think we got it," And so I wrote a song about Jim Lovell because that just moved me so much.
I can imagine the conversation that they had when they were at Space Command. It's kind of like, "We think we got it. We think we're okay. By the way, is your will updated?"
Well, can you imagine being those men? I cannot imagine seeing those rockets blow up time and time again, never having one successful launch, and them saying, "I think we've got it. We're going to go for it," and they get on there and go. It's unbelievable to me. So, I mean, that's just an example. Like, that was so moving to me. And I actually got to sit down and talk with Jim Lovell for about an hour and a half once. And it was an incredible experience. And so those are the things that come from it. Another example, you're in Seattle. So are you aware of the story, The Boys in the Boat, the rowers at the University of Washington there that won the gold medal in 1936?
Yep, they have one of the premier programs in the country.
Yes. And so in 1936, these poor kids, I mean, they were poor literally, tough kids got together. Some of them had never rowed before, and they ended up making it to the Olympics and winning the gold medal. Unbelievable moving story. I've written songs about that. I actually traveled to Seattle to see the boat that they won the 1936 gold in. That's how obsessed I was with it, because the original boat is still there at the university. And so that's where they can come from anywhere.
But now, do they come from your head, or do they just come into your head from somewhere else?
That's a good question. It's a good question. And I don't even know how to answer that. I guess they come from my head. I'll feel very moved by something, and I'll think about it for a long time, and I'll really ingest it and think about it. And then I'll sit down and try to write something. And so I guess it comes from my head, but that's where the initial motivation comes from.
Which comes first, the lyrics or the song?
I try to do them both at the same time because I find that's how it fits best. And like I said, I'll think about a song for a lot. So by the time I actually sit down to write the song, I'll already halfway know what I want to say. I'll halfway know in my head how I want it to sound. And so it's easier to do both at the same time. And like I said, that's the way the parts seem to fit together the best. If I do one and then try to fit it to the music, or do music and try to fit lyrics to it, it just doesn't seem to work so good.
In your bio, it says that you have been compared to people like Elton John and Harry Chapin. And I have to tell you, you got one up on Elton John, because without Bernie Taupin, he would not have done what he did.
Yeah, well, that's very true. That's very true. So, I mean, both those men are amazing, and I don't know how, and that's sort of what I'm talking about. I don't know how Elton John could take these poems and put them to the music like he did. I mean, to me, is just sort of phenomenal. But I appreciate the compliment. I won't say I'm one up on Elton John, but I'll take the compliment. Thank you very much.
Well, he's been one of my favorite artists since I first heard him in 1970. So yes. With his first album, which was oddly enough entitled Elton John. But I had to ask you though, because also in your bio it said that there's a 6th Street pub in Austin, Texas. That wasn't one that they had to put up a fence to keep people out because they were throwing beer bottles and stuff. That wasn't in that environment, was it?
No, I haven't been in that scene yet, thankfully.
Well, I imagine that there's a place in Austin, Texas where that does exist.
It probably does, but luckily I have not had to ever hide behind barbed wire to not get hit by bottles during a show.
That's really good. That's really good. But you've recently moved from Austin to outside of Chicago.
Yeah, big change. So I was in Austin for 25 years and loved it, but Austin's changed a lot. It's sort of not what it used to be and not what it was when I moved there. And I was feeling a little itchy the last few years. I felt like my music would go over better, like on the East Coast. And Chicago, Milwaukee, cities like that. And my whole family lives in the Chicago area. They've been there forever, and I'm very close with them. And so, and this, the pandemic played a part in it too, like it's played a part in everything. But so for about a year with the pandemic, I was up here for probably 9 months out of the year of the pandemic, just because I'm single. I was very isolated in Texas when this hit. So I was like, screw it, I'm going to Chicago, where at least I can be with my family. And towards the end of that year, I was like, this was actually pretty fun being with everyone for this amount of time. And like I said, I was sort of thinking about moving anyway. I was thinking more like the East Coast. But after the pandemic, I was like, no, that's silly to go to the East Coast. I'll just come here. So here I am back in the Midwest, but I vowed I would never live in the Midwest again. And but 25 years later, here I am. I have a 10-year-old niece who I'm very, very close with, who lives right around the corner from me, and she's a big part of it too.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you get together. At least you get to wave at your family and look at them, until the COVID goes away completely. But
well, my sister and my niece, who I'm both very close with, so they we all three just sort of hunkered down together, so it was good because I was able to help them. I was not isolated. It was and like I said, it was sort of, it was sort of fun. And obviously COVID, and it's been horrible, but that was a bit of a positive that came out of it. I had some downtime where I could just hang out with them, which normally I, wouldn't really have. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Kayla, what do you think? Got anything you'd like to add? No, she's got herself on mute because she's got a 3-year-old daughter in the vicinity, and she likes to interject herself into the conversation every now and again.
It's most important. So you got to go where the family is.
Yes,
that's it. That's really true. I wanted to ask you, first of all, the name of the album that you've got out now. How long has it been out?
It came out March 17th.
It's brand new. You just birthed the thing.
It's brand new. That's right. So it's an acoustic CD, and I've wanted to do an acoustic CD for a long time. And I had older songs from previous CDs that they've sort of grown and changed with me over the years. I feel like they've gotten better over time. The musical arrangements are more interesting, and so I've sort of wanted to re-record a bunch of my older songs anyway, and I've always wanted to do an acoustic CD. And here we were in the pandemic, and so I thought, well, this is a good time to do it. And so that's why it's called Second Chances, because it's older songs that have been, like I said, re-recorded acoustically. And it came out I think it's really good. I'm so excited and so pleased with it. It came out better than I had hoped or expected, honestly.
And by the way, I'm trying to, at the same time that we're doing this, I'm trying to educate my audience into the world of what it's like to be a musician in today's society. And what I'm telling people is this. By the way, what's the name of your album? Second Chances. I want you to go buy the album, buy the CD, and either go to John's site or to buy it from Amazon, because he makes actual money when you do that. But when it's downloaded, he gets pennies. Nothing. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I would really appreciate that. So thank you for putting that out there, Kevin. How are you making money now, though? Because right now, the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a live performer makes money by performing live and selling CDs and merchandise at the show. That's exactly right. And if you can't perform live, and it's only been about 15 months since I've had a live gig. Yeah, so it's not been the greatest time in terms of that. But I'm very lucky. As you can see, I'm a little bit older. I had a previous career that we talked about. And so I was able to, I'm able to get by. So that thankfully, my heart goes out to the musicians out there that don't have the, second career that I had that allows them to do this. Well, you and I are kind of in the same boat because I don't know if you know, but podcasts don't make like squat. Yeah. Because there are like 500,000 of them out there and stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, I get to talk to great people like you, which makes it a heck of a lot of fun for me. Well, thanks. Yes. And same here too. I mean, I love to sing, I love to perform, and I love it all. I love to record, I love to write, the whole thing. So, if, yeah.
so luckily, if it wasn't for that, I'm not doing this for the money. I guess that's what I'm trying to spit out there. Yeah.
Well, and me neither, because if you were, you'd be sorely disappointed.
Yes, exactly. I don't know how long I would have been sticking with it.
But it's your passion, and that is what makes it fly for you, because you've been doing it for such a long time. And I can't imagine that playing live well has to be like a great moment in time.
It is. It's when people ask me about the challenges of being a musician as well as the rewards of being a musician, I always say it's live in both instances to me, because I play a lot of gigs where I'm in bars or restaurants where people are there to eat and drink and talk. You can be sort of more background music, and that can make it tough. But boy, the nights when the people are there to hear the music and I can actually really engage with the audience and talk to them and use my humor and talk about the songs, and those are the nights that are just magical and keep me going.
Let's talk about. We've got a couple of songs queued up. By the way, I took some of your pictures and put them as background so that. I'm saying that so that I don't have to apologize later to you for.
Well, as long as you got my good side, I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Well, you look great. Now, which song would you like to play first?
Let's do "The Place Where I Belong." Yeah.
That's a good one. Now, one of these is a single that you have out, right?
Yes. "The Place Where I Belong" was the first single off of the CD. Yeah.
How's it doing?
It's doing well, and this is actually why, like I said, I recorded this one with a full band for a CD about 5 years ago, and it actually did pretty well then also, and now in its acoustic version, it's also doing well. It's a song that people really like it and gravitate to it. It's upbeat. I'll explain what the song's about after you play it, but it's sort of upbeat, and people like it.
Well, and I hope you like this. So we'll play this and see what you think. So this is John McDonough, and the song again is "The Place Where I Belong."
Great.
My chest, throw my head back. I see the mountains touching the sky. She looks at me with her golden hair, and the voices sing out, take me home, and the red rocks hold us tight. This is the place where I belong. It's a feeling I've never known. The aspens speak to me in the breeze, and one day when I'm gone, my words will be written in stone. As the world outside is crumbling, our brothers shipping off to war, I'll sing for you about the peace I feel when I'm lying with my lady friends all around and we're cheering for the stars. This is the place where I belong. It's a feeling I've never known. The aspens speak to me in the breeze, and one day when I'm gone, my words will be written in stone. I'd do anything to fly like the eagle above me. I'd give anything to feel that free. I'd do anything to get a little closer to the sun and be as alive as I can be. I'd do anything to get a little closer to the sun and be as alive as I can be. This is the place where I belong. It's a feeling I've never known. The aspens speak to me in the breeze, and one day when I'm gone, my words will be written in stone.
And that is John McDonough, and that is the name of that song is "Places Where I Belong." And I love that song. You got a hell, by the way.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You got a hell of a voice, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thanks. I've worked very hard at it. As a kid, I was terribly insecure about my voice, and it took me a long time to get over it and a lot of work to feel good about it. But thanks.
Oh, you're more than welcome. By the way, I have a new project for you.
Okay. Do I need a pen? Do I need to write this down?
No, I'll write it down for you.
Okay.
And then, actually, you're going to promptly tell me to go away anyway. But what I want you to do is to do a Jim Croce and Harry Chapin album and mix those two guys together, because your voice is very compatible with both of those gentlemen. They both passed on now. One died of a plane crash, and the other one died in a Volkswagen. Who knew? But your voice is that you got a great voice for it.
Well, thank you, and I love both those guys. Me and you, I can tell we come from similar backgrounds, because we're both the singer-songwriters. The acoustic singer-songwriters is who I'm all about as well.
Yes, I listen. You write. That is the difference, my friend. I get on YouTube and I watch those guys. And by the way, do you have any YouTube that I can look at?
I do. It's John M. Live.
John M. Live. So if you want to go to YouTube and to watch some of his live performances, that's where you would go.
And I have official music videos there for my songs and live performance videos. And so that's a great place to go.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Of course, you've got quite a catalog, I would imagine, over 25 years of songs that you do. So you don't need to do any covers. But I think, as an example, Kayla May is she's a little younger than us, and I'm going to ask her, do you know, Kayla May, who Jim Croce is?
Oh, she's killing me. You're killing me, Kayla.
I can tell you what, if I listen to the tunes in the music, I can go off that.
Bad Leroy Brown.
You give off names, I'm just...
Bad Leroy Brown.
Or Operator,
yeah. One of my favorites. Yeah. And in that particular song, they actually had payphones, and it cost a dime.
And you did actually talk to an operator, not a recording. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
And now I asked this is how things have changed. When my son, who's now 30, when he was like 15, and we were out and about, I said, and I didn't have my cell phone, and I said, we need to find a payphone, and he said, well, what? A phone that you put a quarter into, and he said, I've never seen that. And I said, oh shit. And apparently, I'm really old.
Hey, okay, so I have a question. This brings something up. I'll try to make this short, but this is for Kayla too. So, in our day, people would write songs, and like you said, they would talk about pay phones, and it was sort of more dramatic, and I called from a pay phone in the middle of the night, whatever. Now I hear younger lyrics, they're talking about text. I got a text from so-and-so, or I texted, and I just can't get behind that. It just doesn't have the same oomph to me, It's like, I can envision someone at 2 a.m. calling from a payphone. They're desperate, they're whatever, But when I hear the lyrics and it says text, I just can't connect with it. Kayla, do you connect with it? Or I realize this is a generation thing and the kids, but I hear that and I'm just like, it just doesn't cut it,
I'll stick with the good old fashioned jukebox.
By the way, Susan says she's going to have to check your music out, John. You sound great. Love folk and acoustic singers and songwriters.
Well, thank you, Susan. I really appreciate that.
And but he's right. Now, I did ask my son, the same son, I asked him one time because he's a big texter. He's not a big talker on the phone kind of guy. And I said, why don't you want to talk on the phone? You get so much more flavor of the conversation and the nuances in the voice and stuff. And he said, yeah, but Dad, this way I can talk to 5 girls at the same time and they don't know it.
Well, I guess that's a plus. That is a plus.
I hope you don't get the names backwards.
Exactly. Just
You have
don't
to be
get
very careful.
Time zones.
That's right. Don't
Gotta
send
be-
the wrong text to the wrong person, because
That's
leads to a
part
lot
of
of
the
trouble.
Yeah, that's part of the art form of being able to do that and stuff. And so he's
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
and so that's why when you text somebody, see what I'm used to is when you text somebody, they text you right back. And like you're having this conversation. So if there's a delay, it's because they're talking to multiple people.
That's right.
And they're texting. So you have to wait in line. It's kind of like pulling a number at the DMV. You have to wait in line for it's your turn to talk again to them. So I hate that.
Yeah.
We've lost humanity that way, I think.
And I admit I'm a texter too. I find it really convenient and for a lot of things, but just when it comes up in song lyrics, like I said, it just doesn't move me in any way. I just can't take it seriously.
It's kind of like, and I said I loved her in a text.
Right.
What?
Right. That's exactly right, though. That's exactly right. You hit up my phone at 2 a.m. I'm like, okay, no, that just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry.
It's kind of like how do you express the love you have for somebody with an OG?
Texting. You guys got to get up to date.
Apparently we being an old guy has its advantages because we remember what it was like when you actually, I don't know, had to talk to people and they had actual conversations. I remember when when I was in high school and I would talk on the phone to my girlfriend and it was the only line in the house. And so my mother and father would say, "Get off the damn phone."
Yes.
Now
Go ahead. One time, speaking of one line in the house and operators, I was on the phone and all of a sudden the operator interrupted the call. And my dad had instructed the operator to interrupt the call and tell me to get off the phone because he was trying to make a call. So that was life in the 80s.
Yes, it was, and it's completely different now. Now everybody's got their own phone; they don't have to talk to anybody, and I think we've lost some humanity in that. But that's just me. I suppose the new kids would say, "Yeah, but I can accomplish so much more. I can talk to all these people and make these dates and do this stuff." And I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, getting back on track, we're talking with John McDonough. He is a musician of note, a singer-songwriter. We're going to play his next song coming up that intrigues me. But first, I want to talk about the song we just played, which is "The Place Where I Belong." What inspired you to write that one?
That song is actually about John Denver. Speaking of old famous songwriters,
You're not gonna do this, Kayla, are you?
Yeah, she's never heard of John Denver.
I don't mean to be picking on you, but you are like a symptom of your generation. It's like I asked somebody the other day who was in his late 30s. I said, well, he's kind of reminds me of Bob Hope. And it's like, who?
Oh, God.
Bob Hope. He was like the #1 comic in the world for like ever. And he did all these wonderful things. And he was entertained the troops and all that. And I said, well, that's kind of nice. But who? I never, So and John Denver's another one of he was a singer-songwriter in the 70s and did extraordinary work. And anyway, so continue your story.
So when I was a kid, between 6 and 10 years old, in the early 70s. I lived in Colorado, in Denver. And so this was when John Denver was at his height. And so he was everywhere, but he was especially everywhere in Denver because he lived in Aspen. And, we used to go to the mountains every weekend and ski. And John Denver, he was always on the radio. So, and I love the mountains. And a few years ago, I went to Aspen, and I hadn't been to Aspen for a long time. And so I went back to Aspen, and they have built the John Denver Sanctuary there. And it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful place right in the heart of Aspen, and right next to the Roaring Fork River, and it's flowers, and it's very peaceful and very moving. They have these huge, like 6-foot boulders with his lyrics engraved into the stone. And I just found it just really moving. And especially, like I said, I've been a John Denver fan forever. And so I came back to Austin after that trip, and literally it was like 2 days later, I'm flipping the channel, and all of a sudden I see this documentary about John Denver. And I started watching that. I learned a few more things. And so then all that just motivated me to write the song. So that's how that came out.
By the way, that was no coincidence. That was John Denver who had you listen to his documentary so that you would write a song that he could reference. So.
Well, if so, I hope you like the song.
And I was doing a podcast yesterday, and we were talking about the death of Robin Williams. And we were talking about, do you remember where you were when certain people passed away? And I remember John Denver was one of those. I remember exactly where I was when I heard that he'd crashed his plane.
Yeah, me too.
And him and John Denver, or him and John Lennon and others, but it's so sad because he was such an amazing singer songwriter, and he was not anywhere near done.
No, and I mean, and even if he was, I mean, he still was performing and sounded so good. I mean, he could play all his old songs for all I care. I mean, and I would have I'd pay to hear him over and over again, even if he just never wrote another new song. So it's a shame. It's it's really sad.
He's one of those guys. I got to see him in concert at the Coliseum in Seattle in the mid 70s, and he put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, and I've seen him a couple times too. The same thing, and my family actually ran into him in Denver. They were going. I forget all the details, but they were going to a private airport. They were flying somewhere like on my dad, like company jet of my dad or something. So they went to a private airport. And obviously, John Denver was very into flying, very into planes. And the timing was they just happened to both be in this little airport at the same time, my family and John Denver. And usually I would have gone to the airport with my family, but for some reason and again, this was back when I was like 8 years old, but I chose not to go. And they said he was just a lovely man. They talked to him. He was the nicest guy in the world. And he was actually on his way to the Grammys. Oh. So, so he had some big things on his head, and he still sat there and talked to my family for probably like a half hour. And, they said he was just the nicest guy in the world. So, so it's too bad.
Yeah, it really is. So the rule here is, like Jim Croce and John Denver, don't friggin' fly. Drive to where you're going. No, because then don't drive the Volkswagen where you're going. Because we lose such good people who get caught in an airplane crash, or Buddy Holly and who's the other one? He was on TV for a long time in a TV show. He had I forget, he was a country singer, but he was an actor as well, and Ozzie and Harriet's kid. Anyway, I
don't know.
It'll come to me. Maybe Susan will figure it out, and we'll. She's so anyway, we're talking with John McDonough. We've got a second song we want to do, which is sometimes this is apropos. Sometimes the planes fly too low.
Unrelated, I swear, unrelated. Oh my God, that's awful. Yeah.
Oh, she just came in. Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson, yes.
Was another one that anyway. Tell us about sometimes the planes fly too low.
So this song is actually, I literally dreamed the song. It was a bunch of imagery that I dreamed, and I woke up and I had all these images in my head from literally my dreams, and I turned it into a song. So I'm not exactly sure what the song's about. I mean, it has several. I mean, it has several different meanings to me, but it's also, I don't like to tell people like what my meanings are, because I like to let people, since it's sort of a little obscure, I like to let other people find their own meanings in it.
Marijuana wasn't involved in the
I swear. I mean, LSD, but not marijuana. So,
Very good. Well, I tell this story because I only tell this story because Paul McCartney is my favorite guy, but I know that probably that he woke up with Yesterday in his head.
Yes.
And came out. He just woke up with it, and he talked to John about it. He talked to others. He played the song for them, and nobody could come up with where it was from. He swore it was from somewhere else.
Yes.
But it apparently not, so he ended up owning it.
He actually went around to people and played it and was like because he was afraid he sort of stole it from someone without realizing he had stolen it from someone. Yeah. And another example of that is, I'm sure you know who Michael Martin Murphy is and his huge hit Wildfire.
Oh, yeah.
That was another song he said that he dreamed. He woke up and had all this imagery in his head, and he like literally sat down and wrote the song. And he says, if you ask him, he's like, I have no idea what the song's about.
Well, it's interesting that comes about that way. But well, I'll tell you what, by the way, I'm having the best time talking to you.
Thanks, me too.
This is way too much fun. But we're going to run out of time, so I do want to play this song because this is cool, and make sure I got the right one queued. And sometimes the planes fly too low. You get to figure out what it means.
That's right.
You wanna go to the desert tonight, you wanna see the children play. The new year's just an hour old and you still can't be alone. I never thought I'd see you again, I never thought you'd come back here. You cry out, get in my car, we'll drive to the border and forget who we are. And sometimes the planes, they fly too low. 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 Your voice is hoarse, it gives you away. You're still trying to change the past. You fall to your knees, your hands rip at the grass. A picture of your baby is all you have. And sometimes the planes, they fly too low. 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 It's time we stand up and be who we are. Let our voices ring out and be who we are. Wash ourselves clean and be who we are. It's time we stand up and be who we are. Sometimes the planes, they fly too low. Sometimes the planes, they fly too low. Sometimes the planes, they fly too low. Sometimes the planes, they fly too low.
And that's John McDonough. I love that song.
Thanks so much.
And Susan remarked that you channeled that song. You don't know where it came from. It came in a dream, and you channeled that song. I believe that.
Yeah, thanks.
Because what the part of the lyrics in that song was, you got to stand up on your own, and you got to stand up for yourself, and you got to be who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
That is a mantra of this show, and so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, sure. And also, this is a little interesting thing. So I did just make a music video for that song. It's on my YouTube channel, and I don't know why this is fun. It's sort of funny to me, but it just was accepted into a film festival in Turkey. So if anyone is going to be in Turkey soon and they go to this film festival, you'll see my music video played there. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm thankful it did. And so there you go. But if you want to go to my YouTube channel and check it out, the video came out really cool. So.
Oh, cool. I'll have to do that. I know that the people that are listening will do as well. Your YouTube channel is
John M. Live. So just JOHN M and then Live, LIVE.
Very good. And do you have a bunch of stuff on your YouTube channel?
I do. I have lots of videos up. Like I said, live performance videos and official music videos and things like that. Yeah.
I only have one thing to ask you, sir. Why aren't you famous? The songs that I've played here are just magnificent.
Well, thank you. Thanks. And I am very proud of them and very happy for them. You know, it's tough. It's tough. There's so many people out there. It's hard to the music industry today is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's a recording. It's great that someone like me can go into a studio and make a great recording without having to pay $1 million like you used to have to. It's great that I can, produce my own CDs and put them on Spotify and stuff. The problem is there's 8 million other people that can do that too. And so trying to sort of cut through the noise to find musicians is really tough. I go through the same thing myself. Like, I know there's 1 million musicians out there that I would love, but I can't find them, unless I spent 20 hours a day trying to shuffle through all this music. So that's part of it. And it's a young man's game. The famous musicians are, it's a young kids, but I'm not going down without a fight. So the more people I have on my side, like you and Kayla, we'll see what happens, but thank you.
Well, and Paulette and Susan and several others that are listening as well. So that's
awesome.
It's really cool because see, you're in the same vein as James Taylor.
Another one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. So you and I obviously grew up in the same era. But it's great that but that's I'm finding the same thing in podcasting because there are literally 500,000 podcast channels that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Some suck worse than others. Some are decent,
right?
But breaking through the noise is really, really hard.
Exactly.
So we need to work together to support each other.
To do that. That's right. We all need to. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too. I'll say this just to the people listening. If you go to follow me on Facebook, I have a personal page and a music page, and you can follow me on both. That's really a great thing because when I'm touring, that's where I post my shows. And so if someone is if I'm in Seattle, and I'll post it. Hey, I'm playing here tonight in Seattle. The only way people are going to know that is if they're sort of following me on Facebook and they see that post. So if you like me, please find me and follow me on Facebook, and because that makes a big difference too. When I'm in a town that I'm not from, that really helps to get people out to the shows.
It really makes it tough because years ago I did a local music podcast a radio show on KKNW late at night, and I had local artists, and they would tell me that the way it worked for them was they would get booked into a gig, and then they would go and the owner would hand them 100 tickets and say, go sell these tickets. And then if you sell 80 of them, then you can do the gig. If you don't sell them, you don't get to do the gig, because he was looking for them to be a revenue source rather than just for people enjoying the music. That's got to be very disappointing to people that are trying to do the music.
It's hard. It makes it really hard. Yeah. And I've heard the same thing. Like, that's how lots of gigs are. Like, yeah, you can play here. Basically, you pay to play. Some places are like that. And, if you can sell enough tickets, then you make your money back. But basically, you're renting the venue, and then you have to make sure you sell enough tickets to make your money back. And that's really hard to do, this day and age.
Especially if you're from out of town.
Especially if you're from out of town. Exactly. Yeah.
By the way, Paulette asked a question of you, John. Do you ever do cover songs or strictly your own music?
First of all, Paulette, I have to say, if that picture, I think that's your son. I don't have my glasses on, so but I love that picture on your Facebook there. I do cover songs at my live gigs. I love playing cover songs, and so I do them. And I do songs from the last 5 decades, hits of the last 5 decades, as well as my own originals, of course.
So that's why I want him to do, let's see, Elton John. And although you have a better voice than Elton John does these days.
Well, thank you. I don't know about that, but thank you.
And Jim Croce and Harry Chapin and several others that are in your same vein. And she says that's grandson.
Awesome. Well, I love that picture. That's fantastic.
So that's awesome. So, and by the way, sir, I just want to tell you that it's been a pleasure having you here and talking with you. When you're going up for your first Grammy, will you come back on the show?
I would love to come back anytime. It's been a blast for me as well. And this is exciting. So I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's in Nashville, they have the Josie Music Awards, which is the largest independent award show.
That's right. You're up for an award, right?
Yes. And so my CD is up for Album of the Year for male artists. So it's not a Grammy, but it's a pretty big deal. So keep your fingers crossed. That's in September.
Okay. How will you feel? Are they going to do the red carpet and the whole thing?
Yeah. It's going to be in a big theater, and it's going to be on TV. And I'm not sure if it's live, but they're filming it for TV. And I'm very excited and a little nervous. Yes.
Well, when you get to go through the red carpet and you see all the celebrities and all those folks, and then you get the award. Have you started writing your acceptance speech yet?
I have not. And okay, so this is really the first award I've ever been up for, and I'm not being humble here. I have to be honest. I'm sitting here going, okay, I probably won't win, right? And so I haven't even written anything. When people do that, like at the Oscars or the Grammys, I always roll my eyes, and I'm like, oh, shut up! I'm so sick of people saying this. I didn't think I'd win, so I didn't prepare anything. But that's sort of how my mind is working too. So now I'm sort of getting it a little bit, but I better prepare something so I don't feel so I don't stumble up there too bad if I do win. But.
Have you ever heard of the law of attraction?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes.
Well, if you write the acceptance speech as if it has already happened, that sometimes can lead it to happen.
Well, then I'm going to get on it then. Get on it. Yes.
Well, and now the album, which is Second Chances, that's album of the year. It did The Place Where You Belong, or Where I Belong. Is that song of the year?
No, it's just album of the year. It's the award I'm up for. So the whole 10 songs, the whole shebang. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
So thanks. It's very exciting. I'm very humbled by it, because I certainly did not expect that.
Well, grand things can happen, and it can happen at the drop of a hat.
Because that's true.
Because then you become an award-winning singer-songwriter, and it will open up doors for you, I would imagine.
I hope. Yes, exactly.
Say hello to Jimmy Fallon for me.
Okay, I will. And I just want to say thank you. It's been a blast for me. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, everyone listening. It's been really fun, and I'd love to come back.
Now, this is the part of the show where I give you the opportunity, sir, to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know from your heart.
Well, again, I hate this. It sounds so cliche, but seriously though, if you like me, follow me on Facebook and on YouTube and all that stuff, because that's how I get to keep playing music, and that's how I get to, if I'm in a new town and I say, hey, I know people that I can get people out. That's how I get booked. So thank you for your support, and please follow me on those things.
We've been talking with Jim McDonough, and he is a singer-songwriter. And go to his website, which is John M. What is it?
John M.
Actually, and I'll just tell you this really fast. So I did this to make it easy. If you go on Twitter, I set up a Twitter account just for the sole purpose. If you go John M Live on Twitter, the very first tweet is links to all my sites, my website, Facebook page, YouTube channel, and it makes it really easy for people to find me and then follow me where they want. So please go on Twitter, go to John M Live, and my very first tweet, you'll see everything.
Take notes on that, Kayla, because that's friggin' tremendous. That's marketing in its finest. So,
because I know John McDonough is a mouthful; it's hard to spell. So I thought, this might work better.
You have a great day, sir. I got to run, but it's been a pleasure, and I want to have you back. So
I'd love it. Thank you so much.
You have a great night.
Okay. You too.
Take care.
You too. Thanks.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.